And welcome back to the 2023 Phoenix Media Day. I'm here with Bryan Herdt of Innovative Broker Partners. Thanks so much for letting me pick your brain and to pull everything out, talking to us about your business. Break down your business, industry in general. When is it that family members are coming in and talking with you?
Yeah, so Innovative Broker Partners, we are very unique risk management. We specialize specifically in risk planning, approaching retirement, and then pass through the course of the rest of your life.
And this is a transaction. Usually we start leaning in. We're looking at mom and dad and what they're able to do on their own. It's before long, I think these days, with any one major health event being able to wipe out savings pretty darn quickly, it becomes kind of a conversation about our finances as well in some shape too, right? Yes. Is that how do you guys handle that? How is that that unique approach really taken in this market?
Yeah, so it's conversations that people are a little reluctant to have about, what happens to me when I can't take care of myself.
Right.
But really the conversation really starts with approachment to retirement.
Okay.
It's confusing. The parents are overwhelmed by media, by all the information they're getting about Medicare. And that's really where we kind of engage first, is those 90 days leading up to retirement. And I'm leaving my employer benefit, and I'm going to be going into a land that I've never been before.
Okay. So that's our audience,
and the
right
kids
there.
need to help the parents.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, in this case, so a lot of the kids, that's what they're facing, right?
Yes.
They're coming into that. And there was, before I got into industry, as in working with the aging families, I guess I just always thought that magic fairy was going to dump the Social Security knowledge, like in my head. Like I would wake up one day at 62 and a half, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's what you do. And it comes around to this, and this is Medicare. But that's, you need people like you can break that down. You're actually a source that can help us understand what the heck that is in these strategies to that.
Yeah. And the process, Tony, is cumbersome because people are working later. Number one, people retire at 55.
Okay.
And do they retire at 75? Yes. But then that transition from healthcare is unique in every step.
Yeah.
So if I'm leaving my employer group and I'm not yet 65 and eligible for Medicare, what are my options to get there?
Yeah.
Which we call bridge planning.
Yeah.
The other question is, what if I want to continue to work? What if I'm eligible for Medicare and I want to stay on my employer group?
Yeah.
Well, then what? What do we do with COBRA? What do we do with our HSA money? It's become much more complex. The transition from individual insurance or employer group insurance into Medicare just gets more complex as time goes on.
Well, and it seems like that in today's world, if you don't understand the payer system and who's paying or where that is, it can dictate what life-saving operations you get to have. It can change, what doctor you get to see, how that goes. And some of these decisions seem to be like permanent decisions. There's some decisions I make that I can't change my mind on. Is that right?
You would think that.
Okay.
But that is that's why we're innovative.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because that's the mindset. The mindset is, and again, into the later parts of our life, post-retirement, healthcare is probably the biggest cost.
Oh yeah.
And it's the biggest risk.
And next to gas. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Sorry.
And neither of them are getting easier or cheaper.
No.
So this transitional period is really delicate because, we know in our later years, you look at, what causes people to lose their income is number one is healthcare.
Yeah.
costs.
Livelihood. Yeah.
So it is important. And the idea was, okay, and I'll just say years ago, 30 years ago, when I came into this industry, people took their Social Security when they could. They retired at 65. They went on a Medicare plan that included drugs, and they lived until they were 71 and they died.
Mm-hmm.
And it was easy.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't much to do.
Yeah.
Well, today, now you've got Medicare, you've got Medicare Advantage, you've got Medicare supplements, you've got Medicare savings accounts, you've got prescription drug planning that can be altered and reviewed each calendar year.
Yeah.
So now just one and done is it's not appropriate.
When
It's
you
not
have
practical.
you have mandates of things that need to be done and elections and things that you have to be done, and those things don't necessarily sync up with the Social Security entitlement benefit ages like they used to maybe
Boy,
5,
you're
10 years
so
ago,
right
right?
about that. And that is another area of complexity, is that people think that Social Security and Medicare are tied together.
Yeah,
They're not.
yeah,
They're
like
they're two totally different
yeah,
entitlements that you can choose and pick the timing,
yeah.
but you have to choose and pick the timing.
Well, I think the fact that
because
they
that's the
they
problem.
used to be combined and they generally had a timeline that was about the same until once that changed and one started moving further out into 65 and off of that, and Medicare didn't and continued to hold back in those earlier years. I think now people are, well, whether they knew it or not, as they get into it, I think they start understanding, okay, these are two different things. And
Yes.
now, boy, Medicare is, there's like 15 other directions it goes, like you were just talking
And
about.
you know, and Social Security is part of that, because the Department of Social Security does two things in relation to Medicare. Number one, they manage the enrollment. You
Oh.
have to enroll in Medicare through the Department of Social Security,
Oh, that is so confusing.
and they also collect the money for it.
Huh.
But Medicare manages the benefits, and people,
Oh.
that right there is a mind blower all by itself.
That is,
And
oh my
people are
gosh,
like,
yeah.
well, do I have to do now? Well, what if I don't? Well, what if I wait? Well, I heard I get penalized. I heard that penalties are a lifetime penalty. Not necessarily, if you understand how the process unfolds.
Yeah.
And that's what's great. I mean, this process has created immense job security for me for a lot of years, because it is complicated.
Yeah,
it is complicated. Yeah.
Well, so if a family's just trying to get themselves oriented, what are some of the first things that they can pull together to prepare themselves for having a call with you guys?
Yeah, really thinking about it ahead of time. So really where it starts with us is really about 90 days prior to retirement. So when that retirement date is set and they're like, okay, I'm leaving, I see the date, I mean, it's there. That's when they need to start asking questions.
Okay.
Because the transition from, I mean, you think about it this way, people have had an HR department to kind of guide this, right? They've got into health insurance, and then they were offered life insurance options, and they were offered disability, and some of them, in rare circumstances, were actually offered long-term care options through their employer group. Okay. So now, as I start to age, I start to, focus on the retirement age, and I finally get to the top of the hill, and I'm retired. Now I leave my employer group. Well, what do I do about healthcare when it becomes Medicare? What do I do about my income when it becomes Social Security?
Yeah.
What about my disability that should be long-term care?
Yeah.
Do I have enough life insurance? Do I buy more, or do I not need it?
Yeah.
And if I have it and I don't need it, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
That is the cycle that we help people post the healthcare transition, is where we normally engage.
Okay.
But it doesn't stop there, because there are a lot of questions that follow that, really, for the next 20 or 25 years.
What are the top kind of products, or not products, what are the top topics that they should be prepared to talk about in the first call with you?
Yes. Managing healthcare, obviously, number one.
For themselves, and then even getting that aspect of understanding your parents as they're settling into that. Okay,
yes.
Got it.
And it's interesting, because we'll meet with the people coming in retirement.
Yeah.
And then when they really understand the process, they go, oh, I wish I would have known that when my mom and dad were doing this.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because we're able to help people later in life transition, and we do that.
Yeah.
But it's really kind of an epiphany where they're like, oh my, this is much more complicated. No wonder they struggled with it.
Right.
So that's number one. Healthcare is number one on the list. Then number two is, how do I provide for people? How do I protect the assets that I have? Obviously, death. So, life insurance, and directing that, and what do I do with it? A large portion of people do have life insurance in force post Medicare, and many of them just let it go. They just lapse it. Well, that's not necessary.
Yeah.
It's property. I mean, it's an investment.
Right.
It's a tangible asset that they could liquidate to create money for other problems, like long-term care.
Right.
Losing independence, 70% chance. Even you and I sitting in this room, whether we like it or not, more than likely we're going to lose the ability to live independently before we pass.
Yeah.
Is your family prepared for that because of the caregiving role? And are you financially prepared for that when that comes?
Yeah.
that is the next stage. Now, sometimes folks are really proactive about putting those things in place. They're thinking about the kids, and really it's, kids that have gone through it or have either directly or indirectly been involved in caring for someone. Boy, it doesn't take much to get them engaged in that conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
But you can do it proactively. There are some things you can do with your assets to do care funding strategies because the safety net at the end is Medicaid.
Yeah.
Is All-Tex.
Yeah.
We also are certified Medicaid planners, so we understand our All-Tex system very well. And the whole idea is to either postpone that or delay it or not need it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And there are things people can do with their money that their financial planner may not quite understand some of the things that we can do with their healthcare in order to save money, slow down spending, and be able to really give them the ability to have access to quality care throughout the rest of their life.
That's fantastic.
So these are conversations, Tony, that we have every day.
Last off of that, some of those complications, one, we're a cancer survivor family, 1 in 8 women have gone through breast cancer and work from that. And that's got a huge impact on their life as they're moving in.
Yes.
Is there any special things to be thinking about for families that are working through those types of situations when they're coming into jumping off of employer and jumping into that? Is it special preparation, or is it just be prepared to have that conversation and note that to you guys when we have a conversation?
Good question, really. I mean, that's a good question. So a lot of folks, when they're ready to do they're thinking about proactive long-term care planning. They think, well, it's not available to me because I've had cancer.
Yeah.
I've had a heart attack. I've had a stroke. I have a chronic condition. That's not necessarily true. Yes, there are plans there is medical underwriting, but it doesn't mean that because one strategy doesn't work for most, there's not one for everyone.
Yeah, right.
And there is, but those types of questions with those experiences, they really heighten that conversation because people really have a much more realistic perception of
the impact the impact this is going to have.
And independence is the key word. We talk about independence every day.
Yeah.
That is independence that's the word.
Yeah.
That is what people are trying to hold on to as long as possible. And you think about these folks that are coming in to see us now at, retirement age, they're going to live another third of their life.
Yeah. And
you think that all the strategies that I put in place when I retired, those are going to hold true
for
25 years.
Yeah, right. And especially, look at how fast it changes on the government stand and where those go. So that is fantastic. Okay, so tell us, families, they're ready to jump in. They're ready to get proactive, start dealing with that out there. While they're dealing with mom and dad, maybe this sounds like this would be a great way to not only set themselves up for their kids that are coming through, but get an understanding of maybe what mom and dad are going through and have a place where they can lean in and help mom and dad get some independence back on the other side. Where can they find you guys? How do they get involved with you guys?
Info@Innovative Broker Partners is the easiest way through our website.
Great.
Or through email through Innovative Broker Partners. InnovativeBrokerPartners.com. We have a response portion in there.
Great.
That's the easiest way. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, under Innovative Broker Partners.
Okay.
Those are the easiest ways, and just reaching out directly. We're happy to help directly.
Awesome. Well, Bryan, I really appreciate you coming by. Thanks for sharing your time, talents, and treasures, and we're looking forward for that. You can find more of that information on Innovative Broker Partners online. And again, Bryan, thank you. For those of you joining us online, we'll be back after the lunch hour here for the 2023 Phoenix Media Day special. Stay tuned.